My first guest is the senior DMK minister in the Tamil Nadu government, Dr. P. Thiaga Rajan, better known as PTR, joins me. Appreciate your joining us, PTR. The charge against the Tamil Nadu government and the DMK is that you're using language and delimitation as political weapons to whip up an emotional hysteria in Tamil Nadu against the centre ahead of next year's Tamil Nadu elections. This is pure politics. You're playing with language and delimitation. Your response?
As far as the language is concerned, the Union Education Minister started the problem by declining to send over the funds that were already allocated in the budget. We didn't start this debate. We didn't start this issue. It started with the Union Education Minister refusing to release the Samarga Shiksha Abhiyan funds. Second, delimitation has always been at the forefront of our mind. Obviously, as the clock ticks down to 2026, it gets more and more urgent. So there is a natural progression of that. Most importantly, I want to say, here is a party that has, for the last 12 years or so, used all kinds of emotional disturbances and creation of tensions as their political tool, and therefore is now projecting onto us. I studied cognitive psychology in my doctoral studies. I'm sure you've heard of the term projection. They are projecting onto us the behavior that they have themselves perfected, and we are actually talking about issues. Some of these issues are time-bound, and the second issue of language is thrust upon us by their behavior.
No, how is it thrust? No, 1 minute. PTR, how is language being thrust on you? I want to quote what the Education Minister said today in Parliament, Dharmendra Pradhan. He says National Education Policy 2020 is focused on different languages of India, be it Hindi, Tamil, Odia or Punjabi. All languages have equal importance. In Tamil Nadu, few are opposing it only because of politics. He says nothing is being thrust down Tamil Nadu's throat.
I say that the three-language formula itself is being thrust down our throats. You know, what pains me a lot about these debates is that nobody bothers to go and read history. Just let's remember, this is the third time that a national education policy has been put out since independence. There was one in 1968 that was actually passed as a bill in Parliament. There was one in 1986, and there was one in 2020. The 1968, the bill passed in Parliament calling for a three-language formula, and it said that the Hindi-speaking states and the non-Hindi-speaking states should be treated differently. The non-Hindi-speaking states should have local language, English and Hindi, and the Hindi-speaking states should have English, Hindi, and a modern southern language. This was the 1968 bill passed in Parliament. That was before the amendment that put education on the concurrent list. After the amendment that put education on the concurrent list, there was a 1986 policy. Yes. And the 1986 policy, if anybody bothers to go and read this, says very explicitly that nobody has been able to implement the three-language formula properly. Among other reasons, because the northern states have not been able to get qualified teachers to teach any languages other than Hindi and English. So here you have abject failure after abject failure, and this government for the first time weaponizes its decisions and its preferences extra-constitutionally and tells us we have to adopt the NEP in full, otherwise we don't get the funds allocated to us.
It's interesting. PTR,
we're fighting back.
No, you're saying they started the fight, you're fighting back. The truth of the matter is 1968 and 86, which you quoted, are both when there were Congress governments, your allies at the center, they tried to bring in the three-language formula, which you opposed, which led to language wars. Now the government is saying we are actually moving away from that and making everything optional. The government now says the new three-language formula does not make Hindi compulsory.
I think you should get your history correctly. We were not always in alliance with the Congress.
Your allies presently, your present allies.
During the emergency, we opposed the Congress. That's not the point. The point is not alliance or not. The point is Tamil Nadu has a very clear view. We are only going to teach two languages in our schools. We try to get the best outcomes we can. We think there's enough headroom for improvement when you have a two-language formula. We have produced spectacularly better results than the national average, certainly better results than any state that claims to be putting a three-language formula.
Please
So
show
we
me
are
where,
opposed to the
please show me,
three-language formula,
no,
and we
PTR,
oppose
please
it
show me in this
irrespective of
document,
which
where
party.
is the
It
word
doesn't
written
matter
that
which
Hindi is
party
mandatory,
proposes
sir?
it, we
Sir,
are
with
the
due regard,
objective.
sir, with due regard, please show me where in this particular document is the word Hindi being made mandatory. It is also suggested that many of your ministers send their sons to private schools where they learn Hindi. But I want to know from you, where in the NEP is it being made mandatory? Where? Please show me the
Where the
line.
ministers send their sons and all is irrelevant to this debate. The point is very clear. There are only 34 ministers and 80 million people, 8 crore people. Stop making inane arguments about 34 people's children. The point is, anybody who wants to study any language in Tamil Nadu can study it anywhere. We are not banning it in any school. The Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha's headquarters is in Chennai, and they run classes for whoever wants to take it, and they're funded usually by the government. The government spends 100 times as much money in promoting and propagating Hindi than it does any other language. We have not taken one step against that. The point is, we will not teach three languages in school, period. That has been the case whether a Congress government proposed it or a BJP government proposed it. We will not teach three languages in school. Not only do we have good evidence that the two-language formula works, we have zero evidence, absolutely none, that anybody has been able to do three languages properly. We will not do it, period. Stop.
Okay, what stops you though from keeping it optional? The fact is the students decide. You're someone who's been a worldly wise person. Allow students to choose and parents to choose. Who is the Tamil Nadu? I ask you again, where is the word mandatory? No, PTR, 1 minute. Let's get this clear. Where is the word mandatory used for Hindi?
You have millions of children in school. You're trying to run a system that is costing you tens of thousands of crores. You are not yet getting the best results you can. Especially after COVID, you've fallen behind dramatically. At least in Tamil Nadu, we run a remedial education. Whichever state has done it. Anybody can sit in Delhi and talk all kinds of nonsense. Do you know what it's going to take to actually expand the syllabus? How many tens of thousands of new teachers you'd have to get? How many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of hours of training you'd have to give? How many? And that is if you're only going to use a standard third language. You're going to have multiple third languages. What are you talking about? The burden of education for those who are coming from underprivileged communities is already so high. We are not getting the results we want. It's easy for somebody to say 3 language, 5 language, 10 language. What does it take to actually implement it on the ground? Which state has been able to implement 2 language in the north in a reasonable way compared to us?
What is the fear?
Nobody who's actually operating on the ground can actually talk this nonsense.
What is the fear though? What is the fear? Is it a fear, as you said, of not having adequate teachers who can teach Hindi? What is the actual fear?
The two-language formula, we are having a load of the curriculum that is not easy for everybody to adapt to. Equitable education, standard education is at the core of social justice and equal access. We have focused on that for more than 100 years. We want to continue to do that. We have zero evidence that going to 3 languages helps anything. It makes no sense to me that people who have much, much worse outcomes than Tamil Nadu come and tell us how we ought to do education. Right? Since you say history is irrelevant, you may feel that way. I try to learn from history. In 1986, in the second NEP, after they say that the first NEP has failed to do 3 language, they actually put in the words that this decision of whether to do 3 language or not should be left to the state. This office moved to the concurrent list because they understand the logistics, the operational complexity, the training, the headroom that is required for you to move up to this syllabus is going to be so much higher that you can't dictate it from Delhi. Every government that has enough actual thought process understands this. It's only a dictator that says my way or the highway when they don't have to implement it. Tell me one BJP ruled state where they have implemented the 3 language formula properly and got decent results. Just tell me one.
As I said, I didn't ever say history is irrelevant. I, in fact, only pointed out that the Congress party was the one which was in power in 68 and 86. But forget that. Let's focus on today. The point is, how much of this, therefore, is the lack of trust between Chennai and Delhi? Whether it comes to delimitation, whether government is saying, Amit Shah is openly saying any change will be pro rata. No state will lose out, he claims. On education, the education minister is saying Tamil Nadu will not be forced to embrace Hindi. No school will be forced. Is this ultimately a trust deficit? Or is this, as I said at the outset, playing politics ahead of elections next year, creating a South versus North divide?
Yeah, you can repeat the charge of the central government, union government, all you want. It means nothing. I'm telling you that our principles are most important to us. We will not adopt the three-language formula. I'm telling you that the behavior of the union government, whether it comes to these kind of extra constitutional conditions thrust at the last minute on every centrally sponsored scheme. You must put the Prime Minister's photo on the card. You must do politics. You must call it this. You use 293D to restrain our borrowing. You use governors who are sitting on unanimously passed bills that have never been like in the history of the country. You have every way the weaponizing of the process of government, of governors, and of funds from the government of India. Then you ask us, oh, is there a trust deficit? What, we're sensitive human beings. We understand from the facts. We understand from the developments. I don't understand why you parrot this line from Delhi. His politics, his politics. Hey, think. We have experience. We have data. We have examples. The bills are sitting, tens of bills are sitting with the governor, but he's not bothered to sign. The Supreme Court has pulled him up. So what do you mean that you send a repassed bill again to the president? Where do you have the option for this? Why don't you remember all that? You've forgotten that. You say, are you playing politics? The election's a year away. Do I need to start playing politics now? I'm 4 years into a 5-year term. It's more than 14 months away. Surely if I'm smart, I'll play politics when the elections come, not now.
Do you fear, therefore, that if this debate carries on in this manner, both on language and delimitation, it's somewhere going to hit the federal character? Is this what this is about? States, you on this program said the center is behaving like a dictator. Somewhere is this the federal compact, in your view, being destroyed?
The federal compact has been systematically eroded and attacked from the first day this government took office in every possible way. I just told you a number of channels in which they've done it, from adding extra constitutional conditions to the release of money, to extra constitution using loopholes to limit borrowing of the state, to not passing bills that are unanimously approved by an elected legislature across all parties in the House. Mm-hmm. What more evidence do you want that the federal character of this country has been systematically attacked for the last 12 years of this government, 11 years of this government? Why should we not now have to worry about it? We have evidence, we have hard data, we have experience. So we say it is going down only one path. It is great centralization. And I keep telling you again and again, the exact processes and the exact steps that the current Prime Minister attacked and dismantled when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat, they are doing that and more right now. So his approach has changed when he was the State Chief Minister and when he was the Prime Minister. Our position has stayed the same. We are a regional party. We have always stood for states' rights. We have always stood for federalism. And we are not going to dilute the children being educated properly because our results tell us we are on the right path.
I'm going to ask you, therefore, in conclusion, do you see a resolution? At the moment, it seems that M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister, is trying to garner support from the southern states, from regional parties, both on the language issue and delimitation. Is this heading for a confrontation, or do you believe if the Prime Minister invites M.K. Stalin, this can be resolved?
If the union government's policies function in the spirit of federalism, this can be resolved. If they continuously act authoritarian and try to put a diktat, and especially on those states where they're not able to make inroads because education levels are high, because development levels are high, this is going to go on. But I want to pose a question to you for a slight difference. How is it that states like us, who have limited ambition to language and get everybody to that level, or we say when we're going to lock down, we're going to lock down with 2 months or like few days notice, and we're going to do things right. States like us who have limited ambition and who succeed at achieving that ambition or nearly are considered not so successful. And then we have these grand ambitions, right? Three language, which has never been achieved anywhere, which has been tried for many, many decades. And then they fail spectacularly at it. They're not even able to get one language to the right level. The average education in Bihar is elementary school dropout. Here you're talking about three languages as if three languages is a proven formula. So here you have two questions. Is it that the center believes that just making grand ambitions which result in utter failure is the way to do politics? Or is it that they want to keep stirring the pot by keeping on putting some kind of attack onto those who are succeeding to detract from their own failure. What has been the state of India's economy? What has been the state of India's rankings in the global indices of transparency on human development of any measure? What has happened in the last 10, 12 years of this government? And yet they keep acting as if they are going to tell us the new secret to success.
But effectively, when I'm hearing you, I am seeing you again playing the politics of pitting in a way southern states and Tamil Nadu especially versus the Bimaru state. Is that healthy for the unity? No, you mentioned Bihar specifically. Is this healthy for the unity and integrity of the country? Shouldn't the country have a common education policy?
For the unity of this country? You know what is healthy for the unity of this country? That this country should focus on lifting the hundreds of millions of people in the northern belt, the so-called Hindi belt, to a level that is compatible to the south. That is the healthiest thing. As a patriot, I wish for that fervently. Instead of doing that, if you keep on attacking the south and trying to drag them down, what do you expect us to do? I say as the greatest patriot, my greatest concern, even more than whether Tamil Nadu children do much better, because they're already doing very well, is why are the children in the poorer states not doing well? How do we fix that? That's the main thing we want to work on.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there. PTR ko gussa kyun aata hai is what we've got a sense of. You're clearly angry at the moment, as is your state leadership. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me on the show tonight. Thank you.